Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargav, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about a system that is failing to register rural India onto the CoWIN platform. We also take a quick look at Cyclone Tauktae. But first, we talk about how Chhattisgarh has been struggling to deal with COVID-19. The state has been witnessing one of the highest caseloads in the country. Right now, it has over 1 lakh active cases, and it has witnessed over 11,700 COVID deaths since March last year. It goes without saying that these are just the official numbers, and that in reality, these numbers are probably much higher. The cases in the state exploded between March and April this year, and while the cases in the urban areas seem to have plateaued, they are now increasing in the rural areas, which is a cause for concern because as per the 2011 census, 75% of the state's population lives in rural areas. And these places are not well prepared to handle the COVID crisis. Gargi Verma, who reports on the state for the Indian Express, has been writing about these issues for some time now. She in fact recently wrote about a district in Chhattisgarh that illustrates just how ill-prepared the state is. The name of the state is Gorilla Pendra Marwahi, and it was only formed in February last year. We spoke to Gargi about it.
Now, it's a very new district. It came into existence days before the first lockdown happened, and district itself does not have a lot of infrastructure in place as of right now. While the government portal speaks about 2 ventilator beds present in the district has no ventilator beds. It does have 2 ventilators, but they're not functioning as of right now because earlier the paraphernalia, the NIV kits, all of that were not there. Now the district is facing a shortage of oxygen cylinder. Interestingly, Chhattisgarh is an oxygen surplus state, so there is no dearth of oxygen, the gas, but it's difficult to handle oxygen right now because of the lack of oxygen cylinders to carry the said gas from point A to point B. Orders have been placed, but orders from across the countries have been placed for oxygen cylinders, making the entire process delayed and cumbersome. The district Gorilla Pendra Marwahi needs 150 oxygen cylinders to run the 2 ventilators that they have. They currently have only 50, which is inhibiting the entire ventilator bed operation in the district.
She says that this situation is not unique to Gorilla Pendra Marwahi, but is something that other parts in the state are witnessing as well. And what she points out is that rural areas like these actually rely on urban areas, which right now are already overburdened.
Like Gorilla Pendra Marwahi is dependent on Bilaspur and Raipur for their patients that need ventilation and intensive care. They're also dependent on Bilaspur and now a new RT-PCR lab in Korba for their test results, which means that they can't get as many RT-PCR tests done in a day as they would like to. They also have a lack of personnel because the new district does not have a CMHO. The appointment of the CMHO, the Chief Medical Health Officer, could not happen because of the pandemic. So currently, the senior BMO, the Block Medical Officer, is the acting CMHO. So there are these small problems which are unique to Gorilla Pendra Marwahi also because of its nascent stage, but not just unique to the district.
The spread that the state is seeing right now also has to do with the migrant workers returning to their hometowns. And Gargi says that even though only 10% migrant workers have returned home this time because they didn't want to face the problems they did last year, despite that, the spread has got more intense.
The spread has reached even the hinterlands of the tribal areas, the forests of Bastar or of central Chhattisgarh or of North Chhattisgarh and Sarguja. So that is something that is worrying for a lot of course, district officials, but also the state officials, because the problem with village spread is, at least in Chhattisgarh, and this is not just Chhattisgarh, but the problem with rural spread is that it is very hard to contain. So like recently in Dantewada, 40 people tested positive in a village and then 14 of them had to be hospitalized and more people were testing positive eventually. So in Gorilla Pendra Marwahi, there are more than 3 villages that have 100 active cases at a given point of time. So the reality is that despite not having a migrant returning issue, which Chhattisgarh dealt with pretty efficiently last time by setting up a lot of centers, isolation centers, and COVID care centers for the people who were returning. This time, the spread has escaped the netting of the government and has reached the really vulnerable places.
Now, Gargi had earlier talked about gaps in infrastructure, the lack of oxygen cylinders, and districts such as Gorela Pendra Marwahi not even having a chief medical officer. But the other problem that she points to is that there is also a lot of mistrust between the people and the community health workers, or mitanins as they are called in the region.
So the mitanin or the ASHA worker is basically the grassroots worker in every village. The mitanin was made to do everything from sensitizing the villagers about COVID protocols to ensuring that the migrants don't come back directly to their houses. And the mitanin sort of became the rule enforcer in the villages, which has over the time loosened her credibility with a lot of the villagers. So what happens then is that whatever she says is taken with a pinch of salt. Also, what ground level activists tell us is that there is a lot of misinformation online, on WhatsApp social groups, by word of mouth. There's a lot of mistrust on the vaccine itself, which is something that we've seen even in the urban areas. Even in big cities, metro cities, we are seeing a lot of vaccine hesitancy. This just becomes tenfold in the rural areas where information takes time to reach. And as one of the activists based out of Sarguja in Chhattisgarh said, Gangaram Paikra, that the wrong information reaches faster than the right information. So then there is definitely an understanding that the government is hiding or the government is not trying to benefit the villagers at this point of time.
She says this lack of trust amongst people also stems from the fact that when migrant workers had to return home, they got no support whatsoever. So Gargi says that in that sense, the seeds of the mistrust were sown at that point of time.
The other reason for mistrust is also because the lockdown or the COVID appropriate behavior, which we are talking about these days, is not something the rural populace is used to for a very long period of time. They are conducting weddings, something that is happening even in urban areas. It's not something unique to the rural population. But in a village, if there's a wedding, then it is bound to be that every villager attends the said wedding. In Chhattisgarh, we have seen this, that small villages are generally community specific. So then they are all extended relatives and they cannot imagine being left out of a social event. It's not just weddings, it's also several festivals. This is the time of the year when festivals generally happen. And with most of the population at home, there doesn't seem to be a very strong awareness on the need for isolation.
And apart from misinformation, migrant workers not receiving support, people being frustrated with the lockdown, the mistrust, she says, is also because of the side effects that the vaccine causes, like mild fever or headache.
So most of these villages did see a first drive of vaccination, if not for those below 45 years old, but the senior citizen and the frontline workers. And some fell ill, which is also increasing the panic amongst the rural population that, the vaccine sort of induces the disease-like symptoms. So the issue on the ground for mistrust is because of multiple reasons, which are, some of them are in control. Some district officials have enlisted the help of ground level activists, folk singers. Videos have been made to sort of spread awareness about the disease and what needs to be done about it. There are officials going on the ground talking to the villagers, and this is something that several district collectors have told us, that when senior officials from the district headquarters travel to far-flung villages, the villagers take them more seriously. So that is something that is happening, but the distrust on the ground level worker is very severe. There have been cases of attacks on ANM workers and ASHA workers as well.
Right now, she says the state is trying to follow the 3 T's: testing, tracing, and treatment. The focus is to test faster so that patients receive treatment faster. The one issue that even many other states are facing is people in the rural areas not getting access to basic drugs like paracetamol and equipment such as oximeters.
The lack of oximeter is definitely an issue. The lack of antibiotics, which are not very easily accessible in a rural area, is definitely an issue. And hence the stress on testing faster so that they can at least be brought to the district headquarters or near to the district headquarters where they can at least get the bare minimum to fight COVID. Also the CHCs, so the community healthcare centers are equipped with the medicines. So wherever there is an access to community healthcare centers or primary healthcare centers, there the situation is not this dire.
Now, at this time, when it is crucial to get people vaccinated, the state is struggling to do that. Gargi says that Chhattisgarh was fairly successful in vaccinating its frontline workers, and the response for the 45 plus category was also good. But the state is having major issues with the 18 to 44 category. Like the state's vaccine policy, for example, had become a point of controversy. The state's policy was that it would vaccinate people based on their economic situation. And it had 3 categories for that. One of them was Antyodaya card holders, the poorest of the lot. The idea was that they would get the vaccine first. But this policy got challenged in the High Court.
And then the state said that we will vaccinate all 3 categories, Antyodaya card holders, which is the poorest of the poor, and then the below poverty line, and then the above poverty line. But there would be a ratio or a percentage division between the 3 groups as to who is getting the vaccine. The problem with that, however, is that the state went a separate way than CoWIN. It developed its own app, which is the CG Tika app, which was supposed to register and provide slots, much like CoWIN, but it is more specific to one's locality and village since it is made in Chhattisgarh. However, this portal or this app is not fully functional as of now. One can only register on the app, and for the registration, it's interesting that one does not need, it's not mandatory for one to submit their mobile phone numbers. But right now, the state is just collating the data of how many people are registering from which area and how many vaccines would be needed in the surrounding vaccination centers. But the slotting is not yet happening online. The slotting is still happening manually, which is time-taking and confusing, leading to a lot of vaccine centers running out of vaccines faster than the people can approach them.
She says that the root problem to all of this, the state devising a different vaccine policy or making its own platform, is the fact that the state has very few vaccines.
The state does not have enough vaccine to vaccinate even a single category of the 3 categories that we are talking about. Not enough vaccine to even vaccinate one single category as of this point of time. Vaccines are coming in from what the center has given the state and from what the state has ordered. The state had ordered 50 lakh doses of vaccine, 25 lakh each from both the Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech, which are yet to be delivered. The state is also looking at other options at procuring vaccines. While global tender has not been floated, much like other states, the lookout for such vaccines across the world is on, as per the health officials. And we are trying to get vaccines. And I think more than getting the vaccines, state needs to sort of devise the way they are vaccinating people, because the policy is still being formed in a way. The app is still on the way. So a lot of things are work in progress. For them to work in tandem will take some time.
In the previous segment, we talked about how Chhattisgarh is struggling to vaccinate people between the ages of 18 and 44. This problem, of course, is not unique to the state, because apart from the fact that there is a vaccine shortage in the country, many in semi-urban and rural areas are unable to register themselves online, which is mandatory for this category. And the reasons for it include the lack of digital knowledge and easy access to computers and smartphones. In fact, last week, the Supreme Court had questioned the Union Home Ministry regarding this problem. And in response, the ministry had said that this age group could use the Common Services Centers, or CSCs, to register onto the CoWIN platform. In this segment, we speak to Indian Express's Ashish Aryan about what CSCs are, to what extent they have managed to help people register so far, and how they can be used more efficiently.
So CSCs, they are a SPV, a special purpose vehicle of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And to be frank, in the rural India, they have a very, very vast presence. And in rural India, they were considered as the bridge between the digital divide of rural and urban India. So thanks to the network of CSCs. It's a very vast network. It's a very large network which has, since its inception, it has forayed into multiple things. It started basically from a place where the people in rural areas, they could come and get their documents made, like the Aadhaar card or something like that. And from there, it has moved or branched out into being a delivery space or a place from where people can also order certain FMCG products, even electronic products, and so on and so forth. So if you just go by the scale, there are about 2.5 to 3 lakh CSCs, and each of them is managed by a village level entrepreneur. The acronym for them is VLE. So while it also gives people in the rural areas job for people to stay at in their villages and earn a decent amount of money, it also helps young people in those areas to employ 3 4 other people who are maybe slightly trained, or who are slightly handy with a computer. So that's the idea of CSCs, and how CSCs came into existence, and then what are they doing currently. That's the entire idea.
Okay, so you mentioned that there are about 3 lakh CSCs, but how many of them are actually functioning right now?
So of the 3 lakh that we have active, because some CSCs keep shutting down, then others take place of those CSCs. So as of May 11th, the latest data that we have, only about 54,000 CSCs were active, or VLEs were active as of May 11th. So while the government had said that people in the rural areas or semi-urban areas who are not as savvy with technology and they don't know how to operate an Android phone, because the Coven platform, at the end of the day, it is only in English. So you need someone to translate whatever that platform requires, and you need someone to guide you on the registration process, on the selection of a appointment or booking of a slot, and so on and so forth. So the point that still remains is that only 54,000 are active, and the MHA, as well as the government, in fact, wanted that these CSCs should be able to help people register for their appointment and then book a slot also for vaccination. Unfortunately, that has not been, because, like we talked, of the 3 lakh, only 54,000 are active. And most of these are shut down because there are localized, curfew like situations or lockdowns that are imposed by state governments. And since the lockdowns that are there this time, since the second wave is so severe that people are also afraid of stepping out of their homes, really. So that is another factor which is contributing to not many entrepreneurs going to open their CSCs also, apart from the fact that yes, there is a government mandated lockdown or the government mandated curfew. So that's the overall situation, at least May 11th.
And considering the fact that just 54,000 of them have been active, do we have a sense of how many people have they been able to register onto the Coven platform?
So since the number of VLEs or CSCs that are active are very, very low compared to the total number that are there. So they have managed, again, like we have data as of 11th May, and they have managed to register only 1,70,700 odd people, which is a fraction of, if we consider the total number of registrations and appointments that have been done through the Coven platform, and the total number of people that had been vaccinated at least till May 11th, we'll see that about 17 crore people had been vaccinated with at least one shot. So the CSCs have contributed to roughly 0.1% of the people that have been registered through them on the Coven platform, that have been registered or that have got the vaccination appointment. So while the scale is present and the CSCs have the ability to scale it up much further because they have a very vast expanse of network, somehow that has not been harnessed to the full potential.
Okay, so since CSCs at least do have that reach, what are the kind of things that experts and others are suggesting can be done so that their full potential can be utilized and we can get more people registered onto the Coven platform?
So it's not just a matter of getting people registered on the Coven platform. Since the CSCs are again operated by people who live in the same village and they are very close to the ground and they have a pulse of what's happening on the ground. So of course, if you talk to experts, they are of the view that if you use these CSCs to for multiple things. First is that if you include these CSCs in essential services, it would mean that you will then allow all the 3 lakh CSCs to function normally, and you could encourage them or you could incentivize them in some form to go and open their centers and then talk to the people and tell them that the vaccines are safe, or maybe conduct first, because CSCs are run by people who are also in rural areas, and although they are slightly more educated than the general populace of the place, they also need to be sensitized to the various aspects of vaccination, if so that they are also ready to answer or ready to respond to the queries if people in their area ask them questions. That is what the experts believe, and in fact that is what the people from Ministry of IT and IT are also trying to do. They are trying to talk to these CSCs, and they are trying to have these drives or sensitization workshops where they are trying to tell the people that what are vaccines and what are the side effects, what could be the possible, once you have gotten vaccination, why you should still continue being safe and why you should still have the masks. They're trying to dispel the myths. So the experts are, if we take it in a 3-point action sort of, so to say. So the first is that they should be declared as an essential service so that all the 2.53 lakh CSCs are able to run smoothly without any hitches. Second is that these people should be sensitized. People should be told that what are the benefits of vaccine and why the people, even in the rural areas, should get these vaccines, and why it is very pertinent for people to understand that these vaccines are absolutely safe and that they are like any other medicine or any other vaccine that they would have taken as a child. So these are a couple of 2-3 points that people think could help CSCs ramp up the registration and vaccination.
And I was just wondering, this ramping up of CSCs, will this have to be done by the different states, or is this something that will have to come from the center?
So it will have to be a joint effort, Shashank. I mean, the center can, of course, declare that the CSCs will get such and such incentive if they manage to register X number of people or convince X number of people to join the vaccination drive. But it will also have to be the states which will have to encourage the CSCs, or which will have to make use of these networks, which are very formal networks. Instead of the informal networks, these are very formal and very organized networks. So if state governments are to make use of that, they'll have to incentivize, or they'll have to talk to people. Say, for example, in the state of Jharkhand, the CSCs have a vehicle which is now going from village to village and telling people through short films, through jingles, that why vaccines are safe. And I was talking to the managing director of CSCs, Dinesh Kumar Tyagi, and he was saying that in this vehicle of the CSC, which is going from village to village, the state government has also sponsored a rapid antigen testing facility. So apart from sensitizing people about what vaccines are, or what COVID-19 is, or what is COVID-19 appropriate behavior, it will also help, since they also have an antigen testing facility. So wherever, if someone is not feeling all right, or if someone has a slight bit of a niggle in their mind that they might have something, they can get tested, and they could immediately have that peace of mind if they test negative, and if they test positive, they could immediately isolate, thereby preventing the spread further. So these are the things that could be done. It has to be a combination of both center and state.
And in the end, we bring you updates about Cyclone Taute as recorded on 11:20 p.m. Monday. The cyclonic storm Taute that formed over the Arabian Sea and which intensified into a very severe cyclonic storm on Monday morning caused gusty winds and heavy rains in Mumbai yesterday. According to the news agency PTI, 6 persons were killed in Maharashtra's Konkan region in separate incidents related to the cyclonic storm, while 3 sailors remained missing after 2 boats sank in the sea. Several incidents of uprooted trees and collapsed buildings were also reported in Mumbai. A little after 8 p.m. yesterday, the cyclone also made landfall in Gujarat and began passing over the Saurashtra region. The Gujarat government had earlier evacuated more than 2 lakh persons from 18 districts along the coastal belt in view of the cyclone. Also, to take care of uninterrupted oxygen supply to COVID-19 and other patients admitted in hospitals, 35 green corridors had been created. Additional Chief Secretary of Revenue Department Pankaj Kumar, during a briefing, stated that over 19,800 fishermen have been called back to the shore and more than 11,000 salt pan workers have been evacuated. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday spoke to Chief Ministers of Maharashtra, Gujarat and Goa, besides the Lieutenant Governor of Daman and Diu, regarding the preparation and response to deal with the cyclone. The Prime Minister had on Saturday reviewed the preparedness to deal with the cyclone's fallout in a high-level meeting, which was attended by several ministers and agencies concerned. You were listening to Three Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.